What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. First off, thank you so much for tuning in, for checking out the show. Your support is massively appreciated. The only reason that this show exists is because of all of your amazing support. So we truly appreciate your support. I truly appreciate your support. Make sure that you're sharing the show with as many people that you feel would benefit from the show. The goal is to always grow this show and go out there and have a big impact. Real quick though, before we jump into today's podcast, I want to plug our sponsors that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my real estate agent mentorship training program. It's a group training platform. This way it makes it extremely affordable for you. Inside this program, however, I am unpacking my entire playbook. I'm walking you through step by step everything that I do inside my real estate business, everything that I've done, everything I've learned in my 12 plus year career with selling over 5,000 homes, with selling over $1 billion in real estate. And I walk you through step by step exactly what I've done, how I built what I've built, and what I'm doing today to go out there and create this success. But don't mistake the low cost for low value. This is an insanely in-depth, step-by-step program where I'm walking you through, again, step-by-step on how I go out there. My team sells 1 to 2 homes every single day in today's market, continue to grow my business year after year, and how I've been able to exit from selling, exit from actually day-to-day involvement in my real estate team, and create an epic, amazing real estate team that not only sustains but grows without my involvement. So whatever level that you're at, whether you're a brand new real estate agent, you're an individual high-producing agent that wants to expand and create a team, or if you already have an amazing team, or you're a broker owner that's looking to step up your internal training, looking to step up your systems, your processes, your tracking, make your business more predictable, this program is absolutely for anybody that's serious about leveling up inside their business. So check us out, www.90daymastery.com. Make sure you use promo code LIVEMASTERY, all one word, all together, all caps. That's going to get you the biggest discount on 90daymastery.com. You're going to see tons of testimonials on there, video testimonials, what's included in the program, the future dates of the program. I do several of these every single year, so make sure to check us out and make sure to jump inside that program ASAP. My next sponsor that makes this show possible is PerfectStormNow.com. If you're a real estate agent and you are looking for a lead generation machine website backed by an insanely powerful CRM system that allows you to convert your leads to appointments at the highest possible level, manage all your tasks, make sure that you're effective and efficient as you possibly can be inside your business, transaction management component, all of that stuff. It is hands down by far the most effective and affordable real estate website and CRM program that exists out there in the industry. It's what I use to go out there and sell 650 plus homes every single year, and the system is gnarly. If you're signing up for that program, make sure to use promo code MASTERY, PSN, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you the $200 registration fee and get you a great discount. Our last sponsor is REO University. So I teamed up with a good buddy of mine who is the most knowledgeable dude, hands down, that I've ever met when it comes to REO properties. This guy used to work for the banks directly as an asset manager, and he developed so many of the systems that you see that asset managers and asset management firms and banks use today. This guy sold over 11,000 properties, foreclosure properties, as an asset manager. And he and I teamed up with my experience of working with over 35 banks in my career, selling thousands of REOs, plus his experience. We've created just an insane program. Again, REO University, the website is www.REO University. It's a one-time payment for $997, or you can split that up into 3 monthly payments. This is not a live boot camp like my 90-Day Mastery boot camp. This is something that you have access to instantaneously. We walk you through exactly how to go out there and get in with the banks. So how to get the business, but then how to service that business at the highest level, how to go out there and complete BPOs, how to complete cash for keys, how to make sure that you're insane at your valuations, how to go out there and make sure that your asset managers are winning and hitting their goals, key indicators you need to look for, and more. There's 22 in-depth, just amazing, powerful modules that will teach you how to become an REO machine inside your real estate business. Now, if you're like me, I don't want my business to ever be in a vulnerable position, right? I don't care if it's a good market, bad market. It doesn't mean that my business needs to be good or bad. My business can always be great. During a market crash, right? There's no such thing as if the market's going to crash. It's just a matter of when, right? But again, you don't need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. You can make sure that your real estate business is 100% recession proof, and go out there and, of course, generate business, do a ton of business regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. And this is exactly how you go out there and do it. And we walk you through step by step. So check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. You can learn more about the program, hopefully register for the program, jump on in. This price will not last long, right? We just created this product, rolled it out several months ago, and just getting in the hands of the consumer, and people are having a lot of amazing success. So again, check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. All right, again, you guys, thank you so much for watching this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to share the show. Make sure to comment. Like us on YouTube. Leave some positive comments. We love hearing back from you guys, and love getting your feedback. Keep kicking ass, and let's jump on in to today's interview. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. Every single week, we interview top real estate agents, top entrepreneurs, and straight up top badasses. They're out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, for their families, as well as have a big impact on others. And today, you guys, we have an absolute freaking rock star guest on the show. This dude is I'm reading his profile, reading his bio, following him, checking out his website. I'm like, this is probably the only dude that I think I've met that maybe has more going on than I do. Like, this dude is just slaying it in so many spaces. So our guest today, you guys, just to give you a little background on, is a real estate broker with 3 separate office locations, right? But check this out. They have anywhere from 30% up to 66% market share where their office locations are. So they're just straight up dominating when it comes to market share in the real estate brokerage. He's a speaker and a results strategist coach where he works with individuals, government agencies, companies, and those that are just absolutely committed to going out there and achieving the absolute best results in their life and business. Also, as a property management firm where he manages over 800 properties, and probably a dozen other ventures that I'm not mentioning there. But I'm really stoked and honored to have our guest on, Dustin Runyon. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you, man. That was quite the intro, and I'm honored to be on today, and I'm fired up about this. So let's get going, man.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, you when you see it today, like I'm on your website, and like you got all this stuff going on, right? But these journeys all start somewhere. And when I meet a guy like you, like I'm always intrigued, like how the journey started and how these dots started to connect. Because I know that there's always a path and a journey that led to these. So if we were one of these blocks, man, of your entrepreneurship journey, like how the hell did all this start in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, it started to be, and I'm gonna go back to high school because I've been doing this for about 12 years now. I'm 31 today. And I'm going to start in high school, and I'm just going to be open and raw with you today, if that's cool. I left in high school. I started out at 16. I broke up with my girl. That like shattered me, and I got heavy into drinking, right? Drinking and partying. I actually moved up to Tempe, Phoenix, and went up there and was in the party, and I was like, I got to end this. So I had to get to work because I didn't have any more money to party, right? So my mom was in real estate. My parents had got a divorce at that time when I was 16 too, but my mom was in real estate, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to do what she was doing because I see all these girls driving these fancy cars. And like anything else, they make it look easier than it is. And so I got in, and I started as a short sale negotiator for a gal in Tempe. And I didn't even know what a short sale was at the time. I got the job off Craigslist, and ended up working for her for like a year and a half. And then we parted ways, and I met some investors. And through the investors that I met a guy named Kyle, who was their real estate agent, and they weren't doing, this was back in 08, 09. So the market had hit, right? It hit its bottom. And they weren't doing they were doing some shady stuff. So we bounced and we went up to Chandler. He's like, you know how to negotiate short sales? I've got a little bit of money because I was spending mine every single week. So we rolled up there and we started a short sale team. And within the 4 or 5 years, I negotiated about 250 so short sales, and I'll dead honest, it destroyed me, because here I am 22, 23 years old, and I'm sitting across people who are losing absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Like, I have no clue what I'm doing with my life. I have no clue what I want to do with my life. I'm in here to make some money so I can go out on the weekends and have my weekends, right? So we started that short sale team out there, and man, I started developing heavy anxiety, just from the standpoint. I always ask this question to people: do you struggle with anxiety, or are you irresponsible?
Right.
So, right. So it was irresponsibility, along with dealing with all of these short sales. I mean, people calling you at 11 midnight crying. People had millions, the year before, 2 years before, and now they have nothing. And they're sitting across the desk from me. Their kids are playing out in the fountain, and they have no clue. Kids have no clue what's going on. And I have a husband and wife, breaking down. So, and I mean, as you know, you can't save every single short sale. So it started to wear and tear on me. So during that time, the guy that I was partnered with, he had started a bid company down an auction down at the courthouse steps. And we started fixing, flipping properties. And I was kind of lost at the time, because here I'd made I was the short sale guy. I knew I had that niche, and I made that kind of part of my identity. And when that left, it was a struggle. And I started making money doing the fix and flips, but I had the same mental attitude. So you give a guy who has the same mindset more money, and he's going to still do the same things that he did with it when he had no money, right? He's going to spend it. So it was paycheck to paycheck still, making a couple grand a week for me back then. That was a ton of money. And then honestly, I came down for Mother's Day to Lake Havasu, where I'm at right now, Lake Havasu, Arizona. I came down here, and I met a gal who's the #1 agent here in Lake Havasu. And she's like, she heard that I was doing door knocking and the internet door knocking and cold calls. So we were calling 30, 60, 90-day lates, and we were knocking on doors for 30, 60, 90-day lates. And that's why I have no sympathy for the door knocking. Go and try to knock on a dude's door who's 90 days late. So yeah, she hired me down here, because what ended up happening with the bidding and with the auction in downtown was, I mean, remember my very first investor. I'm 23, 24. I'm not good with time for whatever reason, but probably because I don't remember a lot of that time. I called my buddy's dad, and he was like, I was like, hey man, I got this new investment thing going where we're buying and fixing and flipping properties downtown. You want in? And he's like, I do. I'm like, so the next day I had $500,000 wired to a joint account that we had in our first deal that I bought, and we bought for $240, flip, clean the carpet, fix the paint, and we flipped it for I think he made 80 grand on the deal. Well, he wanted another one, of course, and another one. And then what you tend to find out is if money comes easy, a lot of people get involved in it, and it thins it out. Yeah. Right. So that only lasted about 6 months. So I was out of work, and I'm back down to making $300 a week, if that, driving properties for investors, because I'm not investing all my money. That's the #1 mistake that I made. And I'll even go in this more. I want to talk about a lot of the mistakes I've made. Was when I started making money, is I didn't invest it back into what it is that I was doing. And that was I invested it into my lifestyle. Yeah. And that was a huge mistake, and something that I regret to this day. But I look at it as I paid tuition because I learned from it. So yeah, I came down here, ended up working for another top luxury agent out here, and then a third other agent. And then they kind of hired me on as the technology director here for the office. And then from there, they hired me as the team leader of the office. And we had about 50 agents, and we were probably #9 at the time, one location. And ever since then, that year, I got really lucky. I'm really blessed that I got given that opportunity, because I read a book. Somebody had given me a book, which was strange. It was was a friend of mine that I lived right by in Tempe. He had come to lunch with me and my mom, and he gave my mom a book called Never Eat Alone, which was just a book on networking, purposeful networking. So I go to this conference, because they send you these conferences. I go to this conference and I show up an hour and a half early, because I want to meet the guy who's teaching the class, right? So I meet him, and he's talking. We're shooting the shit, and he's like, "Yeah, I went to ASU." I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy. I'm from Tempe." And he hands me a book by John Wooden, and I read that book on the flight home by John Wooden. It was like the 12 steps to leadership, I believe, 12 game plan steps to leadership, and I just got obsessed. And from then on, I read anywhere from a book or two a week, every single week. We grew the company. Became number one. We opened 2 locations, became number one in every location. You could take number 2, 3, and 4 and combine them, and we still beat them. And we grew about 400 or 500%. Opened up we bought a property management company, which at the time was cool. And then we made a lot of mistakes with that too. Have attorneys look at businesses and go deep into businesses before you buy them. But we grew that, and then we launched another. We have two locations with that. And then through that, I got just coaching, and I got obsessed with helping people take their life to the next level, because for 5 to 6 years of my life, I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, and I was hanging out with the wrong people, doing the wrong stuff, and never having a clear vision for what I wanted in my life. And so I hired coaches. I had an Anthony Robbins coach. I had just a psychologist that I met with often, and I had a business coach as well. I just invested into personal development as much as I possibly could. And from there, I started speaking, because I started getting invited to different places in our community. And I got obsessed with that. I mean, I would cold call people and just ask if I could come speak. Like, I was trying to speak at least 4 to 7 times a week, whether it was at companies, leaderships, car dealerships, wherever it was, just to get my name out there and push myself. And then I started getting in with government agencies and cities and towns. And so it's been cool. It's been really cool. And it's been very, very hard. I loved how raw you were in that video where you talked about depression and that loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like you're with those friends here, and then you get up into that like loneliness level, and the ones that you want to be with are up here, but you're not there yet. That is a hard place to be. Really hard. So yeah, that's kind of the fast forward version of it. But now I'm coaching and consulting, and that's really my main passion. Is honestly, real estate in itself, like homes in themselves, is not my passion. People are my passion, because, like you said in that depression video that you talked about, that's where the fulfillment's at, man. I mean, it's really hard to burn out when you're serving other individuals and helping them get to where it is they want to be in their life, and taking care of them and helping them push and lead. And so that's where my fuel is today. And that's where I get my fire from every single day. So that's, like I said, that's kind of the fast forward version.
Yeah, no, what's so cool about it, man, is I think a lot of people struggle so deeply with like thinking that they got to find this, like, I don't know, like poetic why or purpose or whatever. And they're comparing themselves, like people have massive clarity, like an Elon Musk. And at the end of the day, man, if it's like, dude, if you just go out there, identify your problems and work as hard as you possibly can at solving your own problems, you just end up creating more and more success, and the dots kind of connect themselves. Shit just falls into place, if you will, right? Like, I'm sure, like, dude, like when you were out there flipping those homes, if somebody would have said, oh, at some point, dude, you're going to be like this, peak performance coach, motivational speaker, working all these stages, you would have probably been like, hell no, dude. Like who would have thought, right?
Yep.
So then with that, man, I mean, is what makes you so pulled to, the coaching and the self-development space, just because of the impact that it made on your own personal life?
Yeah, 100%. So I came into this office, and I think we are so strategy driven and so how-to driven as a society. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do that? And, we have so much information coming in. Like, we can hop on your podcast, right? We can hop on the internet. We have more information at our fingertips on our phone than we've ever had in the history of humankind, right? the strategies and how to do stuff is not the problem. And I came into this office, I'm like, wow, they're giving everybody they need, everything they need to succeed. So we opened our own brokerage just by ourselves, and which was that was a vacuum of money. Like the money would go into that vacuum, it sucked out, and it would never come back out. We had no clue what we were doing. I could go into 100 million different mistakes I've made, but this brokerage that I came into, they're given all the strategies, how to do everything, yet people aren't succeeding. And then I heard one time, and I forget who I heard it from, but they said 90% of success is psychology, 10% is mechanics. So 90% is the mindset, 10% is the actual skill, right? And then I think I've heard 80-20 too as well. And what I found was that people were spending almost 90 to 95% of their time on the how-to, right? If 80% of it is up here, or up here now, what I'm learning too, but up here, we need to learn how to think. We need to learn how to control this bad boy. We need to learn how to get these thoughts in check. And so I just obsessed about becoming emotionally fit and psychologically strong because, I mean, as you know, entrepreneurship is not easy at any level. And if anybody says it is, they're probably not an entrepreneur or a true entrepreneur, right? So yeah, I had to get this thing. So what I did is I brought in the psychology portion of it to our office and whatnot. And I saw what it did to people in people's lives. I saw what it did to me and my friendships. I saw what it did to me to take my life to the next level. And I got a girl that I never thought I would get because I was becoming more and I was attracting more to my life. And, you know, I'm sitting down with the mayor of our city and I'm sitting down with all these other people. And it was 100% because I focused on up here in the psychology. So from there, I wanted to be able to give it back. You know, I know you've probably heard this, but if the elevator gets sent up, because I feel blessed and I feel lucky. Yeah, I put in the hard work and I showed up, but I feel blessed to have given the opportunity because if I wouldn't have came here down that day for Mother's Day, I wouldn't have met the gal that hired me. So I do believe in just like defining moments like that or divine moments like that. So so I saw what it did to me and I just wanted to give it back. And so, cause a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know. Right. And, you know, they grew up a certain way or they, you know, they stayed in the same town or they had parents that didn't teach them things or they had friends that didn't. And so you get them in, you give them this gift of understanding the mind. And it lights them up and if they apply, execution trumps, right? So you've got to apply and execute with it and they see what they've done to their life. It does something inside me that just lights my soul on fire that it's like time disappears when I'm serving and time disappears when I'm helping someone get to the next level. And so that's where I know I need to be. And so, yeah, I saw what it did for my life and the people around me. And I just wanted to give it back.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. And I couldn't agree more with everything that you're saying. You know, if we just look at, because it's a space that you and I are both in heavily, as well as all of our listeners. But if you look at real estate, like you talked about, dude, like it's not a fact of figuring out what to do. You know, I mean, you'll get to a certain point where it gets harder and harder. But for most real estate agents, you know, it's not a thing of, oh shit, what do I do? It's why am I not doing the things I know I should be doing to create the life that I say I truly want? Yeah, right? It becomes, they're just not taking action. They're not implementing. They're not getting their ass out of bed and going out there and driving, you know, right? But then there's dudes like once you got it right, or, you know, like for me, like I don't have a problem working a 20-hour day. And at the end of that, dude, I don't feel like I've worked a lot. Like I'm not having to push. Like I'm just pulled to go out there and take action because I'm clear on what I want. And you and I have both done so much internal personal work and the right work. But, you know, a lot of people that are watching and listening that are struggling this, like, can you just give some ideas and tips of where they start? Because I'm telling you right now, dude, what you're hitting on right now is the biggest obstacle, you know, between, you know, my programs, the podcast, everything I do with people is like, they just can't fucking take the action. They just can't get the motivation or the inspiration to go out there and do what needs to be done. So like, where do they even start?
Okay. So for me right off the bat, and I don't know if you believe this or not believe this, and I don't mean to offend you if you do, but I just believe motivation is absolute bullshit. Yeah. Right? I believe you have to have this thing called courage. And courage is like a muscle. If it's not used, it diminishes, right? So if you don't feel like doing something, but you know in your heart you need to do it, you have to build this thing called courage, which is I'm scared to do it, but I do it anyways. And the only way that you're going to build that muscle is by doing it. So I didn't feel like getting out of bed this morning and going to the gym. What did I do? I got out of bed this morning, I went to the gym. Why? Because after a while, the courage muscle grows, then it becomes easier and easier to do it. So, I'm 100% with you on that, is that this action piece, if you just get up and go do, you'll find this beautiful thing called momentum. And momentum is where the courage muscle starts to grow a little bit. And once that starts to grow, you're really able to double down and double down and double down. Also, this is a big one. Why aren't more people able to take action? You're hanging out with the wrong people. Period. End of story. Like, you're hanging around people who buy into your bullshit. You're hanging around people who are buying into your story, right? You're going to loved ones and you're buying into your bullshit no matter what, right? It's like your dog. It's going to love you regardless of what you do, whether you take action or not. And that's what your family is too. And that's what they're there for. And that's great. But you need to surround yourself with some people who are going to hold you accountable and who are going to push you to that next level. You just have to find it in your soul, and you have to believe that you can make it happen. And the only way that you can believe, because an experience or a belief is a poor substitute for an experience. So you got to give yourself an experience of just progressing and moving a little bit forward just a little bit by little bit by little bit. And the only way that you're going to do that is just doing it when you don't feel like doing it. Period.
Yeah.
You can learn to do the things you don't feel like doing, or doing the things you know you should be doing when you don't feel like doing them. That's going to build a muscle that's going to give you a lot of momentum.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with everything that you said. And it's, the biggest breeder of motivation is taking more action. Just like you said, man,
Yes.
If you want to get up out of bed. People that watch the show or see me speak, I was like, dude, how do you stay so motivated? I'm like, I never am. Like, when I should say I never am.
I love that.
But when I wake up every single morning, I'm pissed off. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do a damn thing other than go back to sleep. I don't want to do shit. I wake up in the worst mood. Yeah, right? But then guess what? I realize that that's my choice to remain in that state. I go through my morning routine, have a couple cups of coffee. 45 minutes later, I start to get in that mindset of, I'm starting to take action. And the more action I take, it just keeps breeding it. And so with that being said, though, dude, because I see a lot of people getting defeated, like when they're taking actions, but they're not seeing the results. And this is just a theory of mine. I mean, I'm just going to say this because I want to get your opinion on it, because this is your expertise. Yeah. But I think my opinion is that a lot of people just kind of set up the wrong scoreboards for what those wins are. It's like, okay, if you're taking these actions and it's like, okay, you want to instantaneously make X amount of dollars, well, that you may not see that for a long period of time. But like, if the wins are like, hey, every day I want to get up, and maybe those small wins are just to get X amount of people to answer their phone or have X amount of conversations, where they're small and measurable, you can see those little tiny increases of those wins on a daily basis, because to get those results, especially in entrepreneurship, like, you got to stick in the game for a long time. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a few things. There's patience that you're going to have one, or actually three things. So I want to talk about patience. I want to talk about how you cannot control results. You can only control your behavior. And then the third thing is you need to have something that you're measuring, because if you're heading in the wrong direction, patience isn't going to help you, right? So you need to get around. So I say, hire someone like you, right? Get a coach that's been there before, that's done what it is that you're wanting to do, and model them, because you don't want to go in. I see guys go in and they're working 12 hours a day in the wrong direction. So my thoughts on it are, first, you got to have patience, period. End of story. You got to be in the long game. Most of my old friends are broke, Josh, because they want to make money right now. They're trading their time for money. And unfortunately, you have to invest your time. The only way to make good money, if you're not like a top CEO or a professional basketball player or professional MLB player or whatnot, is to invest. And you have to invest your time in. That's what's going to give you the massive returns that it is you want. So you have to have patience. You have to have patience. I think Warren Buffett said something about the stock market. He said, all the stock market is a transfer of money between impatient people to patient people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
and I love that. And here's the thing so you have to have patience. Second thing, results. You can't control results. So what I do is figure out where it is that you want to go, reverse engineer it, and figure out what actions you need to take daily in order to take and make these small wins every single week and celebrate them, right? Most of us, we scream our losses and we whisper our wins.
Yeah.
So when you have these little wins, I mean, it gives you that little progress, like you said. I mean, you talked about getting up in the morning when you didn't want to get up in the morning, getting your cup of coffee. Right there, you're already starting your day off with being proud of yourself. Like, dude, I'm proud of myself. I got out of bed. That's a little win, right? So, so the second thing is turn it into actionable items that you can control, because you can't always control results. Like, you can't control, I'm going to set, like, I like this, like, your goal should be like, I want to set 2 appointments, but on average, how many calls do you need to make a day in order to get 2 appointments? Or how many connects do you need to get a day, right? And then the third thing is get somebody around you that's trying to do, or a coach or whatever it is that's already done what it is you're trying to do, to let you know if what it is you're doing is correct or not. Because you get around those people and you can turn the decades into days, and you can fast forward yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And, you know, when you were talking about your journey, you know, like one thing I really loved that you talked about was, like, things didn't really start to change in your life until you did the necessary work that you needed to do to change internally. You know, like Jim Rohn's famous quote, and you said this a little bit in a different manner, but it's, you know, you don't create success by doing more. You create success by becoming more. You know, yes. Right? I think so many just, you know, that get into leadership or want to create success, that they're just focusing on the wrong things and not focusing on that deep internal work and investing that time, money, and hours into themselves. And, you know, I mean, elaborate on that and the power that has to allowing you to go out there and become the person you need to become to get the results you want to get. Yeah,
straight up. I was the biggest victim on earth for, you know, anywhere 5 to 6 years. It was the environment's fault. It was my mom's fault. It was my parents' fault. It was the market's fault. It was my boss's fault. It was everybody else's fault. And what happens when you do that is you give up your power to change anything, because you're making the problem outside of yourself. And unfortunately, when you search outside of yourself for the solution, you'll never find it, because it's in here. Like, you are the only one that has control. Like, taking responsibility is a personal power. Being a victor or a Viking instead of a victim is a personal power. It gives you your control back. So you're right. I believe if you're right here, if this is where you're at and your goals are up here, people down here can't hit goals up here. You have to become more to where you can then hit those goals where it is that you are. That's why I love what you're doing. Why I admire you so freaking much, because you get it on like the highest level ever, is you have to develop yourself. You have to work on you, like your business, your relationship, your health. Everything will grow to the extent that you do as a human being. Period. End of story. That's at least how it is right now. If there anything changes, I'll adopt that too. I'm not loyal to any strategy by any means, but that's how it is more. And you have to work on you. And I mean, there's 1,000 different things that you can do to do that. But yeah, becoming more.
Yeah, I did a video the other day while I was driving, and this is like in a private Facebook group to some of my private clients. And
I need it on that.
Yeah, it just hit me, man. It was like, you know, like because I go, you know, we always get asked, I'm sure you get asked the same thing, when people are like, you know, what's the difference, man? What's the difference between you and everybody else that allows you to create the success? And, you know, I've been interviewing a ton. I've got a couple companies that are massively expanding right now where we're having to hire a couple people a week, you know, right? And
hell yeah.
It's like when I'm interviewing employees, right? Everybody's goal is to like make $100,000. Like, everybody's like, dude, I want to make $100,000. I'm like, what does $100,000 do for you? And they're like, buys the house, the car, the security, whatever. And this is what I created this video on. I said, why everybody is focused on making $100,000 to buy the house, the car, whatever. Like, I've always been focused on, I want to make an extra $100,000 to invest 100. Like I couldn't wait to the day where I was able to invest $100,000 a year into coaches and self-development. You know, right? Like I'm not there yet, but I can't wait till that day where I stroke a guy like Russell Brunson, $1 million check to be able to work with him one-on-one for a year. Like that's what I obsess at, not over the freaking house, you know, right? But is that next level of investment to that self-development, dude. And it's just, I don't think a lot of people are willing to do the work on themselves and invest that money. And it's just so critical, man.
It is. And I want to say something on that. If it doesn't make you want to think a little bit bigger, I mean, I would say the biggest problem that I've ever had in my life was, I think, too small. Even in the past year, like I've had a few epiphanies this year for myself. I've got to think bigger. Is if that's your goal, like you just want to make $100,000, that's awesome. And if that's for you, that's great. But I have a feeling that if you're on this podcast or you're watching this, you want more. And so I'm going to talk to you in that way. Is if you don't have a business that runs itself and you don't want to invest in a business and invest in people, know this, that the first 143 days out of the year, you're working for the federal government.
Yeah.
Right? You're working for the federal government. If you have a job, right? If you have that job. Now, if you have a job, you make that money, you take that money and you invest it into a business and you invest it into people. The business now is working for the federal government for 143 days out of the year instead of you, right? And it's invested, and now your money is working for you and other things are working for you. And it's just a whole different mindset. It's a whole different mindset. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's fire.
Yeah, dude. So let's kind of talk about, the coaching work that you're doing right now, because, you're this guy that, obviously very successful entrepreneur, had a lot of success in real estate and other ventures that you've done. But a lot of your coaching is on this deep personal work, and talk to us kind of, about like what the work is that you do with your clients and the power of that impact instead of just talking strategy, but this deep level work.
Yeah. So what I really try to work on is I try to go to the root of the issue. So, when you look at most people in their life, what they do is they create smaller problems in their life so they don't have to face the real problem, right? The real issue, the truth. Like for me, I'll be open and honest. If for me to do what it is I want to do in my life, the truth is I have to leave Lake Havasu. Just the truth, right? If I want to go as big as I want to go and as nationwide as I want to go, that's the truth. Now, or let's say you're having trouble with your spouse. And you create these little problems. Well, she's this way, or she's that way, or she's this way. Well, what's the real truth? Like, what's the truth inside your heart? Because the truth, as we know this, the truth will set you free. But the truth also hurts. But it doesn't actually hurt. It just forces you to be vulnerable, and vulnerability feels like weakness. And so many people in our society today, we live in a society and cultural conditioning today where it's you're not allowed to be weak, right? The number one cause of death for men under 45 is suicide. Why? Because we're not real. We're not having conversations like this. That's why, like that video on depression and that you shot the other day, I fucking saluted the shit out of that, because I was like, more people need to watch that kind of shit from somebody like you, who they admire and look up to, and who, right? Because it's just, we need to have a real conversation. We need to talk about what's real and the truth, because then from there, we can work our way up. Most people are working on problems that don't even matter. Like they're trying to solve problems that weren't even there. They're creating them and then trying to solve them, right? So the first thing that we work on is, I know this, that energy is life. And the energy, whether that's whatever the emotional states that you're in, because I believe the quality of your life is the quality of the emotional states that you live in, right? And the emotions that you experience on a daily basis, whether that's drive, hunger, vision, passion, creativity, drive, or it is frustration, anger, resentment, hostility, all those things, right? So what states are we living in on a day-to-day basis every single day? And what we want to find is, what is the real problem in our life? Like what is the real problem, and how can we enact these emotional states to come in and deliver, right? The emotional states is first. The second thing that we're going to work on is your values and your beliefs. Because really, beliefs are everything. Beliefs control everything. And here's the thing about beliefs. is you will be right about everything. Everything, no matter what it is. We have this thing called the reticular activating system in our brain that filters out all of this shit because there's so much stuff going on in our world that it filters out all of this, everything else. It's like you buy a red car, you see a red car. You buy the certain shoes, you see the red shoes. You see the red shoes everywhere. And the reason for that is because your brain only wants to see what it is you think it wants to see. So if you have a belief that is, men are a certain way or women are a certain way, your brain's going to find all the reasons why men or women are a certain way, right? If your belief is let's use real estate for an example. In real estate, what are you selling? Yourself. Would you ever sell a product, or how long would it last if there was a product you were trying to sell that you didn't believe in?
Yeah.
It would be push. You'd be burnt out. You'd be exhausted, right? Here's the thing. If you're in real estate and you don't believe in yourself, game over. Because you're selling yourself. And you got to believe in what it is you're selling, right? So if you believe in yourself, your brain's going to find all the ways and all the opportunities that you're going to go out and make things happen. If you believe you're a great prospector, your brain will find all of the ways for you to go out and prospect. Your brain believes, if you have a belief or a story inside your head that says, I'm not a great prospector, I don't really know what I'm doing, you're going to find all the ways that you're not a great prospector. And this is the same thing in your life, with your family, with your business, with, if your story, which mine was for so long, is I'm not really like the health guy. I found all the reasons why I didn't dive into the health sphere. So we want to check what the real issue is in your life, because we create these other little ones that become a force field. I think John Cheplak said this. He said, growth is the constant pursuit of the truth. And that growth arrow towards the truth, the growth arrow comes in like this. And what happens is it gets scary. So we create all these other little things like, I don't have time. I don't know this. It's my mom or my dad or the cousin, or I got a divorce, or it's I live in a small town, I live in a big town. And we create this force field that stops us from getting to the truth. So we need to tear that bullshit down, find the truth. And then we need to work on your emotional states, which is a few things. One, your self-talk. How do you talk to yourself? If I talk to you the way you talk to you, how would you feel about me? Right? So what is it, the things that you're saying to yourself every single day? The second thing, what are you focusing on? Focus equals feeling. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. And I have these questions. There's 3 questions. And if anyone's listening to this, it's, do you focus on what you have or what you don't have? Do you focus on the past, the present, or what you're going to create in the future? Do you focus on what you can or can't control? And are you focused on yourself or other people? And just by answering those 4 questions, I can get a pretty good idea on the quality of your life. Because I look at things as strategies. Like if you're focused on the past, that's a strategy for a painful life. The past is one thing, education. Right? If you're focused on what you don't have, that's a strategy for a painful life. Gratitude, and you hear it all over the place, but it's just so true. Like you hear it all over the place for a reason, because it works. I use gratitude as a strategy to live a fulfilling, exciting life. It's the antidote to anything negative. But if you're focused on all the things you don't have, you're going to live a painful life. Second thing, if you're focused on things you can't control, like other people, like the opinions of other people, because if you start to build up, guess what? There's like 3 types of people in the world. There's ones that are going to shoot you down or attempt to shoot you down. There's ones that will support you and be your cheerleaders. They're not going to grow with you, but they're cheerlead you on. And then there's the people that are going to want to grow with you. And there's a 4th one, and that's the ambivalent people, where they pretend like they're rooting for you, but every now and again they take that swipe at your neck or at your chest, right? It's like when I get up, I'm at a dinner and I get up because I got a phone call. I go real quick, and then I come back 15 minutes later and they're like, what are you doing? Grinding? It's like, okay, thank you for letting me know who you really are. But yeah, so focus. And then who are you focused on? Are you focused on growing yourself, or are you focused on other people? And then from there, we're going to, like, the other thing is we need to get you to move your body. And because the way that you move is the way that you feel. And from there, and again, we go way more in depth because not every situation is the same and life isn't black and white. But that's where we like to start. find the truth, what the real truth is, and listen to it and start having those types of conversations. 1, 2, what you're focusing on, what your self-talk is, and the language that you're using with yourself. And focus is huge. And then the way you're moving your body. And then I would tell you is from there, we need to audit your circle, which is insanely important. So that's the foundation of it, where we start. And then we also start like with, we go into your past, like into your, how you grew up and your family and your parents and your mom and dad and your brothers. And because sometimes what we're doing is we have these beliefs and we have these this operating system that we adopted when we were young that served us then, but no longer serves us today. And we need to just update that software and that system.
Yeah, I love that, dude. So then with a lot of things that you talked about, right? Because it's like Zig Ziglar's famous quote of motivation doesn't last, but now there's bathing. That's why we need it daily. And a lot of this, it takes daily work, right? Doing your daily gratitude, doing that daily self-talk, daily affirmations. I mean, do you have a personal like daily routine that you go through that keeps all these? So you're focusing on these right things every single day, that right self-talk, all those things that you talked about.
Yep, 100%. So I have the days, just to be honest, I have the days where I kill it in the morning. So I'll give you like my kill it morning, then I'll give you I do it in the morning every morning. One is in the mornings, if I'm killing it in the mornings, I get up, turn on a cold shower to shock my body. Cold shower for at least 60 seconds before it turns warm. And then when I get out of the shower, I do a thing where I just call it, I do my gratitude, three things that I'm grateful for. One of them has to be tiny. It's got to be like when I walk outside and I hear the birds chirping. It's got to be the sunset, or it's got to be like a decent meal that I'm just grateful for, something small. But I do 3 gratitudes. From there, I do three things I love or that love me, because I believe love is the most powerful emotion on earth, or that we have inside of our hearts and our psychology, is love. And so I have this moment that I think of, because me and my mom are close, because me and my dad left when I was 16, is I think of like somebody texting me and just saying, hey man, just wanted to check in. How are things going? Like, who the fuck am I to get a text message like that? How cool is that? That somebody cares enough to hit me up, and somebody cares enough to ask me what it is that I'm doing in my life. That is insanely cool. Or somebody calling me and inviting me to a dinner. Hey man, I miss you. We need to hit up dinner. I see you're doing good stuff. Like, I'm so grateful for that. And then a big one that I do, especially if I'm struggling, and this may seem weird, but I do whatever works, is for the love, is I envision the day 1986, September 4th, 1986 is the day I was born. I close my eyes and I envision me walking in the door in the hospital keeps opening as doctors and nurses keep coming in and out of it. And as I'm looking in there, it's my mom, and she's laying down, and she's on the whatever those are, the bed, and then I envision myself like propping my foot in the door. And as I prop my foot in the door stays open, and she's holding me. And the amount of joy on her face, and to know that everything in that moment changed for her whole life, and the love that she has for me, regardless of how hard, regardless of our relationships and the ups and downs of it today, because we work together and different things like that, and that's hard. The love that she has for me and the sacrifice that she made for me. I put myself in that moment. That's the moment I bring myself if I'm struggling that morning, or if I've been going through some tough stuff. So love. And then the third thing is I place myself in a place of something I want to happen. And I want it to be amazing. Like for instance, I don't know, not this morning, but yesterday morning, I woke up and I envisioned you and me having this chat, and me just coming in with you and just extreme gratitude for, we're lucky to have people like you on this earth, man. And so I envisioned me and you talking, and it just like going off, and we're really vibing, and it was awesome. And then I envisioned seeing you out at the Next Level Agents Conference and saying, hey man, I really enjoyed our time together, and it just really clicking and bonding, right? As if it's already done. It's done. And I do that for either one or three. Sometimes it's just one thing. Sometimes it's 3 things. Sometimes it's personal. Like it could be something simple like, I'm going to kill it in the gym today. Murder it. I'm going to walk out of the gym and I'm going to feel awesome. Because we know the days we go level 10 and we know the days we go level 2. So it could be something simple. From there, I get in state, feel good. I say some incantations like I demand the energy, insight, and power to serve every human being I come in contact with, for I'm one with the universe and the universe is everything. Or I'm one with God and God is everything, whatever it is you believe. And I rock it, turn on some music, and we get going with the day. That's the ideal. If I'm rushing, one gratitude, one love, one thing I want to happen. If I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But that, and then what I do is I set one non-negotiable for the day, just one. What's one thing today that I have to get done, no matter what, no matter the schedule, no matter the time. If I got to do it at 11:53 at night before I go to bed, what's one non-negotiable? And I write it on my mirror in marker. Yeah. What I want to do. And I come home that day and I look at it on my mirror, and when you're super self-aware, and it's a habit I'm sure you have, the problem with self-awareness is you can't really get away with much. Yeah. Because you, right? And you know who you are. So when I look at that in the mirror at the end of the day, it's accountability for me. Big time.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. So have you found, like, as you've been on this journey and doing all these things that we've been discussing here, in order to really be successful, because it might just be because of how I'm wired, and I'm more introverted than I'm extroverted, but it was like
that blew me away, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, it does most people, because they see me speak and see whatever. And, and I think a lot of people don't really understand, like, all right, introversion doesn't necessarily mean that you're shy, but I just
totally.
spend a tremendous amount of time to gain my energy. Like Christmas, like, right? Like hanging out with the kids and the family, right? But like by 1 o'clock, I'm like, I got to go into my office, read a book, and be alone for an hour to regain energy that, like, I have to have that time in solitude. And when I was younger, I hated solitude, right? But the older I get and the more, successful I become, I discover the power in it, right? Because otherwise, like, if you don't have that solitude time, or at least this is my experience, you can't do that deep reflection like you're talking about and doing that work. I mean, have you kind of discovered the same for you, like taking that time, taking that alone time where you can be alone, be with your own thoughts, and really reflect at a deep level?
100% in two ways. One, with just myself, right? And I will be honest, I'm not as good at this as I want to be, because I get energy from people. So I like being around a lot of people. I like doing that. So it's a little harder for me, but solitude and reflection, I think, is a skill. It's something that I'm actually, now that you reminded me of it, it's something that I need to double down on for sure. But I journal, I write down how I'm feeling, where it is that I want to go. And you know what I do with the journaling? There's no rules. There's zero rules, right? I just go. And so I do that. One. Two, a big thing for me, reflection. I drive out of town twice a week, and I read. So our Audible, right? Audible, or listen to podcasts like yours. Really get in. That's real good time for me. But reflection is 100% is huge. Second thing too, that's super huge for me. 90 minutes a week with just me and my spouse talking about our lives, reflecting on our relationship, reflecting on stuff like that. Because I almost lost her about a year ago because I was working. I was coming home at 10:30 and she's asleep, and I didn't even know it. I'm like tunnel vision, right? And so we spend that 90 minutes. I follow a clinical psychologist from Canada, and he said if you spend 90 minutes a week just with you and your spouse talking about your life and where you want to go, and if you're happy in your goals and what it is that you're wanting to achieve and plans that you have in the future, instead of just go, fulfillment and success is, elevated however many times. So yes, it is super, super, super important. And I keep going back to that video that you shot. It just rocked me. It was awesome. Is where you talked about solitude and getting alone and getting in there with your own head and your own mind. It is super, super, super important time for reflection.
Yeah, love it. All right, dude. So then you said something that really intrigued me. You talked about kind of the last step of your coaching program, or you talked about the inner circle audit. right?
Yep.
Kind of walk us through break that down a little bit of what that means and the importance of that.
Yeah, that one, outside of entrepreneurship and building businesses, and I don't even look at myself today like a success yet because I have so much I want to do. But that was the hardest thing for me, is letting go of friends that I had been friends with for a long time, that we were quote unquote boys, that just didn't serve me anymore. So you have, there's really, at the end of the day, there's two types of people. That's it. Only two. There's those that move you forward and those that pull you back. Right. I mean, the way you keep, and a lot of people pull you back with love because they don't want to lose you. They see you doing well. They see you succeeding. They see you pushing forward. They see you chasing their dreams, and they don't see themselves doing that. So what they do is they don't want to lose you, and they feel like they're losing you. So what they do is they pull you back. So in auditing your circle, again, back to that, like, here's the growth thing. Here's the truth, right? And we have, yeah, but I've known him for a long time. Yeah, but they're, he's cool. Yeah, but like we watched the game together. Yeah, but we create this force field around what's true. The truth. Do they give you energy or do they take it? Are they growing in their life? They don't need to be rich. They don't need to be financially successful, but are they growing as a human being? Are they becoming more? Are they progressing? One, or like I said, do they give or do they take? Do they give energy, take energy away? Do they deposit, withdraw? And you have to be honest, because we all know, right, Josh? Like, we all know who in our life does no longer needs to be in our life. And it's painful. I will not deny it. It is painful. But what we do is, it's really actually simple. We draw a line down a piece of paper and we say, who in your life helps you move forward, and who gives to your life, and who gives you energy, and who in your life takes. And then what is it that you want to become in your life? Because that, where you're talking about right here, where you're with those friends and then you're starting to grow, and it's that lonely spot. Well, at that point, your circle becomes books, podcasts, hired coaches. Like, for me, I didn't have any friends, so I had to hire coaches. That became my circle, because I live in a small town and no one knew who I was or what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. So I had to hire coaches to push me and to accept more, because I forget who I heard this from. I believe it was, I believe it was, I don't know who it was, I forget, but it was the expectations of your peer group is going to be the quality of your life, period, in the story. You got to find people that you admire, that you want to be like, and or that are where you want to be, and you got to find a way to provide value to those people in their life and create that circle. You have to cut people off. And so you have to find a new belief, regardless of, we've known each other forever. Well, that's great. But I've had friends that I've known for 3 months that have done more for me in my life, and I've been able to give value to their life. Because what you find is, the people that are still doing the same shit and haven't changed, you can't give value to their life because they usually don't want to listen. They usually don't want to, right? They feel insignificant when you're around, because here you are growing, becoming significant. They feel insignificant, so they're going to try to tear you down. They're going to try to turn your volume down towards the same volume as theirs, right? So I have this, like, you need to get around people that are where you are. You need to get around people who are doing what it is you're doing, like they're on the same journey. And then I think you need to mentor some people too. You need to help people get moving too. So yeah, we draw a line down the piece of paper and we just find the truth. What's the truth? And sometimes it's your family. Sometimes it's your brother, your spouse. Sometimes it's your spouse. Like, for me, I didn't get my spouse on board. I didn't get her on board. It was my fault, but I didn't get her fully on board with the vision that I wanted to create for my life. So you hear it all the time, is, yeah, you are the 5 people that you hang out with. It could not be more true. You want to change your life, like, get around them. But here's the thing. You ever get around certain people that are like really, really killing it, and you have it inside your gut a little bit, where you feel as if it's kind of like the guy, like someone like you, right? you take your shirt off, you got the six pack, you're rocked, right? And I go to take my shirt off, and I see looking at yours reminds me of the gut that I've got, right? So it starts to make me feel less than. So you have to be careful when you start to hang around people that you admire and you look up to. Don't let it make you feel less than. Be inspired by them. Yeah. He is, because that was a big one for me. I started getting around some of these people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like, not only do I feel insignificant, but I feel like what I'm doing is not much, right, compared to these guys. And my gosh, they're killing it. And I would feel, it would rock me. And what I really worked on is just by being absolutely inspired by those people. So,
yeah, love it, dude.
No, it's kind of a long rant, but
yeah, no, I dig it, dude. So, just a follow-up question to that, right? So, okay, you got this line. You know, right? And I know that this isn't the case for you because your mother you guys are business partners. She's very driven. So I know that this isn't the case. But let's just say, all right, you're going back to that story that you show with, all the joy and love and sacrifices that she's made for you. You have that visualization of the hospital. But maybe, like, let's just say the situation was she was one of those people that was pulling you back. Because, I mean, there's certain people in your life that sometimes can be those, the needers, not the feeders. But it's also like, man, it's my mom. I'm not going to cut my mom out of my life, right? But you might not need to figure out a way to kind of minimize some of that. Like, what do you do in those situations? I mean, there's people that are easy. There's people that are maybe a little bit more difficult, but they can go. But then there's, some people that it's just like, look, dude, I'm not going to cut this person out of my life.
Yeah. So you love your family. Number one, love your family. And if that is you have to, the first thing that you have to do is know that you have to take responsibility. You can't pawn that off. Well, my mom this or my mom that. You have to take responsibility of your life right off the bat. Second thing, and you're not going to probably want to do it, you're going to have a hard conversation. If she's really pulling you down, really taking you down, you have to have a real honest, open, vulnerable, non-judgmental conversation. And it's going to be a hard one, and it has to, and it has to come from a place of like contribution and love, because people can feel that. And you cannot go into the conversation with expectations, because you cannot control how they're going to act or react. And you have to know self-consciously, and you have to know in your self-awareness that this person is that type of person. And so you have that outer circle. Like, we draw this target. Like, here's people we don't hang out with. Here's like our acquaintances, right? Here's our peers. And then you have like a tight circle, which these are my growers. These are the people that really rock it with me. You love her. You're there for her. You support her. Like I have someone like this in my life right now. Not my mom, but somebody like this in my life. And I'm just super conscious of it. Super, super conscious of it. And we've had the conversation, we've had the discussion, and it's a hard one. And I'm aware of it when she starts to say certain things and state certain beliefs as facts and as absolutes. I'm just clear up here with it. And I minimize the time, but the type of time that I spend with them is very different. Yeah. Let me put it that way. The type of time I spend with them is different. We're not talking about business. We're not talking about that. You know what I end up doing, Joshua, is I end up asking them a lot of questions. How's your life? How's things going? What's going on in your life? Great. I'm there as a sounding board for them. But you have to have that hard conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Jim Rohn said it or framed it as like, you got your 2-minute friends, your 2 hour, your 2-minute people, your 2 hour people, your 2-day people, and then your 2-week people, right?
Oh,
just get them in those buckets. And
love that.
Now, do you feel that, all right, so like an example, like I used to, just like you talked about in your story, I used to drink insane amounts of alcohol. Grew half my real estate business freaking just wasted drunk, I was just like every day by noon I was drinking, right? And very, very problematic for me. And when I made that decision to quit and break that habit, I had to take like about, it was like, I don't know, maybe let's just call it 6 months. Right? Like I couldn't even go out to eat at a restaurant because I realized then every restaurant meal I associated with a specific type of beer. And I was too weak. I couldn't go to parties, couldn't be around certain. But then I got to the point where I developed the internal strength where it didn't matter. I could be around anybody just drink it. Like you couldn't pressure me into drinking because I became strong enough. So do you think like you can get to a point where it's like you are so self-aware, you've done such deep work where it's like, it doesn't matter if they're a fucking eater, feeder, if they're pulling you, like you're just going to repel that shit no matter what. So it can be some point where some of this is just, you know, a little bit temporary, where then over time you can allow these people more back in your life, the ones that matter to you.
1,000% yes, because you've been so emotionally fit and you've actually wired. You said earlier, you're like, I'm kind of wired this way. And what I'm assuming you meant by that is you actually rewired yourself this way, right? Yeah. And once it's wired in, yes, then you can invite those certain people back. But and what I found with me is environment does matter big time, like huge. I mean, the best thing you can do as a business owner is to hire the right people and create the right environment, right? So, so yes, you can, but a great example of this is, yes, if you have that inside you, you can be that. And say you go on a bachelor party and there's like 15 of those people, and you say the bachelor party was 30 days long. You may be able to like set it in, and you may be able to mentally strong. That bachelor party was a year long, right? I don't know. Maybe there are a lot of people who are mentally strong for that, but you don't want to put yourself in those situations either, right?
Yeah. No, totally agree, man. Then, you know, when you talk about environment, like this is one thing, you know, I hired a peak performance coach about a year ago, and oh, yeah. You know, I mean, that's just a fancy name for a psychologist that works with high level entrepreneurs, and you don't want to say that you're working with a psychologist, so we call them peak. You know, right? So a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, like I didn't intentionally do a lot of that work, and work, you know, like all my coaches before this have just been strategy, just business, and dude, I mean, we never talk about business. But it's been the most powerful experience and has allowed me to create more success, more momentum than I've ever been able to create in my life. Like going deep into things I never thought about. Like, hey, when you show up at home, how does that affect your energy? And these, like, I literally, after starting to work with her, after about 3 months, I spent $100,000 remodeling different rooms of my house to have them set up exactly the way I want to set them. So when I walk into that room, it gives that energy and that environment, dude. It's, you know, I found that. You know, it's not just, you know, the people are a huge component, but just having that awareness of, you know, all of it, the whole circle of it, you know, right, dude, is just, I just wish I think people that are listening to this like really can resonate and understand it, but I wish they really, because you don't really see the true power until you do the work. But man, this is, you know, and this is why, like, when I was planning this call, I was going to talk to you about market share with your brokerage. I'm like, but shit, who get, like, this is
I agree.
That really matters.
Yes, I share that with you. In that was the biggest change of my life, is when I hired a psychologist and say, well, we don't ever talk about business. We don't ever talk about any of that. We talk about my emotional states. We talk about, like you said, when you come home and you walk through the door, right? What are you feeling? It sounds crazy, but like what you wear. I mean, just everything, what you eat, the types of food you put in. But yeah, a psychologist, a peak performance coach, whatever you know how you called it, that is the biggest game changer ever. So I'm glad that we talked about this shit, because this stuff fires me up. Yeah. So with that being said, dude, because you know, as I just said, man, I mean, the type of coaching, the type of work that you do and walk your clients through, you know, is, and I'm just speaking from personal experience. Right. It has been the most powerful stuff I've ever done. Right. From a money-making standpoint, from a fulfillment standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, like this is the work everybody needs to be doing, you know, right. And not so much strategy. Now, I believe there's a time and a place for strategy, and I coach on a lot of strategy, but like what you're talking about, dude, is if you want to take big leaps and bounds, you know, like one thing that I've discovered over the years is the more success that you create, the higher level of self-care you must provide for yourself, you know, right? And it's not just, you know, the health and the gym, it's, you know, the self-care up here. And so dude, like I am
the biggest believer in what you're doing. With that being said, man, because this is work that I think every one of our listeners should be jumping into and doing with you.
Yes.
Like where is the best place, dude, to learn more about it, to sign up for your program, to get in touch with you about it? Like, where do they go do this at?
Yep, I do have a new program that I'm launching here really, really soon. But right now, you can just hit my contact form on DustinRunyon.com. Hit me up, and I do. Anyone that's listening to me right now, I'll do a free coaching session for anyone. Just hit me up on that contact form. Let me know that you saw me on this podcast. I'll do a free coaching session with you. And then also just find me on all my social medias, Dustin Runyon on Instagram and Facebook and all that whatnot. And then I got a program coming out here real soon that I've been working on for a while now. So yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like, so many people too, especially like entrepreneurs, because they all got a chip on their shoulder, right? And that chip has brought us far as entrepreneurs. And we have driven, a lot of us are driven by, I'll tell you, I've coached and coach, hopefully not anymore, they're not, but angry millionaires.
Yeah.
like nobody likes an angry millionaire. Like, you have everything everybody wants and you suck.
Yeah.
Like, angry all the time. So we have, in that space, they're these tough guys and they don't want to get into their emotions and they don't want to get in. And I've been there, man. I pushed this stuff away and down for 5-6 years. If you're not into developing yourself, like, I'm not into that shit. I used to have a guy, he sat down, he goes, they called me to consult for him, and we sit down at the restaurant. Right before he sits down, he goes, hey man, I just want to let you know, I'm not really into all your rah-rah shit. I'm like, first thing that goes through my head, I'm like, dude, you guys called me.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, what rah-rah shit are you talking about? He's like, your whole inspirational thing. And I'm like, did I inspire you? What and he goes, no, the whole positivity thing. And I said this, and it just came out of my heart. I said, listen, positivity is a strategy. Okay? If I could live a fulfilling life, I could be financially free, my businesses could be rocking, the people around me could be lit up and excited about life. Through anger, I'd be angry. Through depression, I'd be depressed. Through sadness, I'd be sad. I use it as a strategy. These emotions inside of me, I use them to better my life. And in order to use them, I have to be in touch with them. I have to have a relationship with them. You cannot influence anything that you don't have a relationship with at some level. So to anyone out there that like pushes this away, like, developing yourself is pretty important. Getting in touch with those emotions and the psychology and getting your heart and your head aligned. It's a game changer, because you're not succeeding at the expense of your emotional health. You're going to have bad days. We all do. And I do. And I try to take my bad days and make them bad moments. And I try to take my bad weeks and make them bad days, right? Try to get better every day. A lot of us, if we're not 100%, then we're 0%. It's just getting better every single day with it and get in it, man. So I'm glad you brought that up, brother.
Yeah. No, love it. Powerful stuff. And those watching and listening, I know I end every podcast for this, but information without implementation truly is the start of delusion. Information is the power. It's taking that information, taking action on it, that creates the power in your life for you to go out there and create the life you know you want and deserve. And Dustin shared so many amazing, brilliant pieces of advice that I hope you guys truly took to heart and truly go out there and take action on, because this is truly the stuff that will allow you to take your life to the next level and create some massive, massive success. So thank you for watching and listening. And Dustin, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day here. This has been a hell of a time.
Salute to you. Hey, you're awesome, man. Everything you're doing, I admire you and I look up to you so much. Keep pushing it. Keep putting your stuff out into the world, and I'll keep watching, man. Respect to you. I admire you, and we'll talk soon.
Yep, 100%, my friend. Back at you, dude. All right, you guys, thanks again, and we will talk to you soon.